My name is Sheila Corona. Welcome to another edition of the Knowledge Vault. Going to get right back into it. We are on the Handbook for the New Paradigm, Volume 2, Embracing the Rainbow. If you are following along in the book with me, I'm on page 201 at session number 23. And it begins with each sequential chapter of the experience of the transplanted humans on this planet. The results of every effort to counteract the genetic variation has seemed to fail in futility. However, that perception is from inside the forest, which is in quotes there, so to speak. The introduction of a normal human DNA/RNA structure to Earth's human gene pool allowed a correction to spread by random selection through the subsequent generations. Hundreds of years have gone by as this effective genetic process has gone through its natural sequence. That's very interesting given the state of the world at the moment, isn't it? And what has happened over the last few years. What appears to be a long time in your counting within creation's orderly process is merely the blinking of an eye in the larger picture. Those indigenous groups that have been included in the intermixing process by choice or otherwise have received both genetic alterations causing uninvited changes in their archetypal evolutionary pattern. This points out the consequences that ripple outward when the will of one group is forced upon another. Even though an individual may make a free will choice, the effects for the generations that follow are influenced in ways that are not perceived at the time of the initial decision. That's too true, isn't it? The intentional changing of the genetic structure of a large group is a slow process. But as the change begins to manifest, it then spreads at an exponential rate. It must be acknowledged that the return to the genetic norm has not manifested in an even pattern throughout the planet. Not all groups with the altered genetic pattern have accepted the introduced gene resource at the same rate. Social and religious bias has influenced this because of the prevention of intermarriage with other groups, thereby locking out the introduced positive genetic change. This has allowed a considerable number of beings to remain locked in the more aggressive pattern. Many of these are deeply involved in the negative enslavement focus. It must be pointed out here very strongly that this does not indicate that there are superior and inferior groups. Within creation, many diverse experiences of evolvement are allowed. If that type of, quote, judgment existed, then where indeed would Earth's population be with the total scale of evolvement? Certainly not in an enviable place. Any feelings of superiority can be put in their place by raising the question for the necessity of the whole of the galaxy to be concerned with the plight of this planet because of the consciousness of its inhabitants. Be very, very careful in understanding these particular explanations. No judgment is intended, only brief overview lessons in understanding the situation of all the people of the planet. Certainly, among all the groups, there are what can be termed progressive and regressive genes. Through the random process of available gene combinations at conception, it is possible for the most aggressive being with the appropriate partner to procreate a genetic opposite in the next generation. It has been happening since the project was started. It is how the situation has changed and has reached the present point with a now possible influence of the planetary future. Had the genetic selection process been apparent at the conscious level, then the introduced genes to modify the aggressive tendencies would have been promptly bred out for the purpose of warfare and continuation in the confines of aggression for the transplanted human group would have been assured. The complexity of the universal laws increases as they are understood. Moving through the understanding of the laws of attraction and focused intentional manifestation to the law of allowance adds complexity at each level, for all are interactive. Application of the law of allowance opens the door to experience the flow of creative energy. It might be said that it is, quote, love in action. What is called patience is allowance. Here, a nuance must be understood. There is a difference between tolerance and patience. The difference can best be described by the emotion that is felt. This is an especially fruitful opportunity for self-contemplation. Tolerance carries an emotional charge of resentment, while patience is usually accompanied by heartfelt anticipation, even amusement by the observer. There is a very profoundly observable difference between tolerance and patience. This is a difference that can be absorbed and intentionally changed in midstream, so to speak. It is this type of conscious decision that promotes the transcendence of knowledge into wisdom through the conscious choice to rise above one emotion into the other by giving up an attitude and an opinion. I've been saying that all judgment is opinion based on everything I have experienced in my life and how I have felt about it. Colors everything. And so it's merely opinion. All morality, all judgment is merely opinion. Without releasing what is causing the resentment, no transition of attitude can be made. In the human experience, it is noted that release of tolerance into patience is often accompanied by physical smiling. This is true, by the way. An indication of just how good it feels to allow the creational flow to express through human experience. Oh, I believe that's true myself. I have experienced that. It is hoped those who spread these messages remember to be patient with their fellow humans, for there will be much rejection in the beginning. Yeah, everybody knows about that. The comfort zone of deeply ingrained programming is difficult to soften. A great deal of seeding must be done Even though rejected, the seed ideas will remain and await the triggering that will cause them to root and grow. What the triggers are will be unknown, for all are unique to each conscious awareness. The seeds need not be full explanations. I know that now. I used to think I had to tell everything I knew. But for many, only what appear to be chance remarks can be accepted in the moment. Just that much is doing your job well, for it is critical to sense what is and is not appropriate. I now get that, boy. I tell you, I have my housemate Lisa Rush, boy. I'm so grateful to her for helping me figure that out. That was a tough one for me. Too much locks the door before it opens even a crack. Too much locks the door before it opens even a crack. The Christian religion has employed the most aggressive proselytizing program in the history of the planet. If the founding teacher of the distorted Christian faith had been allowed to complete his teaching to its potential, and had it been spread with the zeal of the Christian focus, then marvelous progress would have been made. Nonetheless, the members have applied the first two universal laws relentlessly without really understanding them. Through contemplation of this point, much about the use and misuse of these two laws can be learned. With discernment, quote, a few of these applications could be applied to the advancement of the new paradigm. Certainly the, quote, never give up aspect of their approach. Well, that's the end of session number 23. Stay tuned for session number 24. Move in every moment that you move towards joy. What brings you joy? Higher joy. Till then, be well, my friends.